이제 끝을 내볼까요?
Oh no, she killed one.
이제 끝을 내볼까요?
Hey, hey.
7K dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at Mythical Awakened Radgrid finally in her own review video. After so much testing has been done through the live streams, I finally am able to get a grasp of how we can use her. And in this team, I'm just going to talk about this team first. It's actually not the best team, okay, hands down not the best team. It's just a team that I was trying out with, trying to use magic heroes as well as universal heroes and see how that goes. Maybe my traits were not that good, maybe equipment as well, but it wasn't performing very well. But nonetheless, we can still look at Radgrid's performance through these matches. So she is able to provide formation immunity for 6 turns and has a 70% chance to isolate the attacker that touches her. What isolation does is basically convert all damage that the attacker will do next to 1. Okay, and when there are 4 offensive heroes on the field, she will increase physical attack of all allies regardless of typing by 60% and decrease the magic damage the team takes by 40%. So this is also regardless of typing. That means magic damage from universal heroes, magic damage from support, magic damage from magic heroes. Okay, so it's a very good passive, especially if you can fulfill the criteria, and in a 7v7 setting, I think that will not be a big problem. And over here, the enemy's Radgrid actually uses her bottom skill, which is the one that deals 300% to 3 enemies with the highest physical attack and also decreases their buff duration. Here I rely on Galidus a lot, so the freeze comes in a very good point. And you will see that in this case, this Yon, he is going to suffer from the isolation. Thankfully, she touched Radgrid again after she used her skill. So the next skill that she does is going to be 1 as well. You can actually see the pixelated animation on her, and that is the isolation sign. Okay. For her top skill, it is actually a better skill. She deals 300% to 4 enemies with the highest attacks and also deals additional damage based on their max HP and also decreases their crit and lethal rate by 70%. So she works very well with a tanky build, and in this case we do have universal heroes that can benefit from this. Now as you see here, she uses her top skill. Unfortunately she dies, but if you look at this Dylan's here, no crit, no lethal at all. So it really mitigates damage a lot. For her Awakened skill, which she didn't use this match, she actually also deals 300% to the 3 enemies with highest attack and also increases damage dealt based on their defense and decrease buff duration by 2 turns. So as I mentioned before, she is the first hero which has AoE buff duration reduction by 2 turns. Her effect attack actually allows her to electrify enemies as well, and she is also able to electrify on her Awakened skill if you unlock her exclusive item. So as far as Radgrid goes, I don't think she is a hero where you want her skills to be used constantly, because there's definitely gonna be a lot more skills, in fact 13 other skills that you hopefully will use, your heroes will use, which are better. Radgrid is really there to mitigate damage a lot, especially with her isolation and as well as her top skill. So without further ado, let us talk about her equipment. For my Radgrid, I've given her crit and lethal. You can give her double crit if you have a Fenrir on the field. I've given her double block because she has very high block. In fact, she has a block on her exclusive item, and if you give her additional block jewels, she can really push that block all the way to almost 100%. She also has Guardian Ring and Taunt. The Taunt is so that enemies will target her when they use basic attacks, and this can land the isolation on them more effectively. She also has Block Rate Jewel, Survive with 1 HP, and also Block Reduction. And then she also has Status Effect Cast Rate, Electrify, and Silence Resist. So the reason why I've given her this set of traits is because I want to push for her Status Cast Rate to be 100% so that she can land the isolation better. And also Electrify Resist and Silence Resist for more basic coverage. I don't really care about the other statuses right now in my team, because even though I don't have Stun Resist here, and I don't have Paralyze Resist here, you realize, I do have Death Resist, but then again, the point is not for her to move. She can just stay there and take all the damage that she needs and convert the enemy's damage to 1, and that's her main role. Okay, so overall her build I can say that is more defensive based. You want to give her as much bulk as possible so that she lives, and you want her to live for the isolation, and that's pretty much it, because her awaken skill takes longer to charge, so you won't really want to rely on that to do much to the enemy. And in fact, by the time she gets her awaken gauge, the buff duration reduction may not be so useful anymore, because that will be long after turn 3.
더 놀고 싶지만 모두 잠들 시간이야. 영원히.
Okay, so at this point I've decided that okay, this team is not working out. There's actually a lot more losses that I didn't show you guys, but I decided to change over to the more meta physical offensive team with 3 other universal heroes. So I have the offensive team Dylan's, Fenrir, Colt and Truth, and also with keeping Judas and Wukong. So unfortunately my Dylan's aims for the Radgrid here, but he does a 2-time basic speed attack, so it actually removes the isolation. So if you are playing a defensive party, the taunt will help you a lot, but it really doesn't matter as a defensive party because you don't know, who is gonna fight you. Rather, when you fight other people and you face a Radgrid with taunt, then it can potentially disrupt your strategies, because most of the skills are probably gonna hit her, especially those AoE skills. But you realize that Radgrid herself will not touch another Radgrid because all her skills are only dealt to the ones with highest attack, and Radgrid will definitely not be one with the highest attack. So this is primarily gonna target heroes like Fenrir, Dylan's, Colt, or Yonhee, if that's Yonhee anyway. So I think this team works a lot better for the very simple reason that the physical attack is buffed by 60% and I take a lot less magic damage. So you will see that even Wukong's damage here is nerfed because of Radgrid's existence. She is still alive, which is really great, okay, at 1 HP. So she mitigates the magic damage she takes, and isolation will come in at very clutch moments that you just won't expect. Unfortunately for this enemy, he's kind of like on a willful ring, so I was able to hit through pretty well. Waiting for a chance that he touches my Radgrid. He does not have a Radgrid, so that kind of puts me at a slight advantage because I know all my damage is going to go through. Unfortunately for him, he will have some skills that will not be doing damage, unfortunately. So in this case, his Dylan's touched my Radgrid twice. Unfortunately, also got rid of the isolation, so that's good for him. Over here, his Yonhee lands lands and she is isolated, as you can see from the bling bling. So the next skill that she does is not gonna do anything to me. And in this case, it is this skill. Yeah, so 0 damage, and she dies to reflect at 1 HP. Pretty unfortunate. As you can see, my HP is still pretty high, but that could be also because of the enemy's set of equipment, so I won't be able to comment on that. Unfortunately, here in the third match, my Dylan's attacks the Radgrid twice, so isolation is removed. As you can see, it's pretty annoying, especially if your Dylan's doesn't do a speed attack twice. He will be left with the isolation and he will have to try to counter. Unfortunately here, even though the Milia got isolated, she used a speed attack on my Radgrid again and it removed it. So there's a lot of RNG factors going on, and there's a lot of things I want to talk about 7v7, but I won't do this in this video. Okay, so here my Radgrid uses her top skill and reduces the crit and lethal damage, so the damage that you see from now from the enemy is going to be very nerfed. So here the isolation saved me from a lot of damage. I also got isolated, unfortunately. So fixed damage is also affected and is reduced to 1, and it looks very underwhelming, honestly. So no crit and lethal from this Yonhee, which is good because I didn't take too much damage, because imagine that Yonhee did hit with crit and lethal, I potentially would have a few units gone. No crit and lethal from the Wukong as well. And yeah, so I think Radgrid's utility is coming through here. Now you guys may think whether she is actually worth it to have on the team. I would say that right now, if you are below 7v7, she will make a huge difference in your 5v5. But if you are talking about 7v7 right now, I think her utility is not at its maximum. Okay, because a lot of skill targeting still won't target all units. So there's a chance that they will totally just bypass her and you won't benefit from the isolation. She actually does a lot on her awaken skill and manages to electrify the enemies. Reduce 2 turns from enemy Judas immortal stage, so that's one of the better moments I've seen from Radgrid. Yeah, but as I was saying, in future when more heroes are able to deal 6 to 7 target AoE damage, I think that's where Radgrid will really shine, because she can potentially save you a lot more, because she will be targeted a lot more, reducing the enemy's damage to 1 more frequently, and I think that will give her a bigger role in future. Right now, I still think that, you know, sometimes she's a bit too frail, sometimes she just doesn't get hit, and the debuff just won't happen at all. Over here, the enemy Chut is targeting my Radgrid. She's gonna be isolated. Yeah. Here, my Radgrid actually uses a top skill, which is great. Unfortunately, the Chut counters and get rid of her own isolation. Luckily, I'm still on turn 2, so I have Guardian Rings on my heroes, so no damage dealt there. I think right now you have to think very carefully about your awaken skills and your skill use chance. Okay, because sometimes you're gonna get a lot more awaken skills activated. And this is very important because the priority of the skills now is very weird, and certain heroes will use their awaken skills ahead of others. Okay, so it's very hard to say who will actually use their awaken skills earlier than others, so you need to think about all these when you plan your team now. So no crit and lethal from the enemy Dylans here. Damage is really low, even though he still killed 2 of my units. Again, I have to disclaim that yes, all these matches look very easy and very smooth, but no, the journey to get here was insanely difficult. Okay, and partially because my team will not be the best, but I think this second team is actually a lot better and more stable, so you guys can give it a try, especially because they are using Radgrid's passive. So if you want to talk about utility, I think that is where she really shines. If you found this video helpful, do give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you think of Radgrid and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you!